Hello. Hello, good morning to all. I am Khaja Asifullah, lecturer in chemistry from Government Degree College, Falaknuma, Hyderabad. Today, I present a video lesson on photochemistry. It is a second lesson or part 2 in which we will discuss about Beer-Lambert's law, or it is also called as Beer's law. Earlier we discussed Lambert's law. So today we will discuss Beer's law. It is an extension of Lambert's law put forward by Beer in 1852. It is applicable to solutions, that is, when light absorbing material or the solute is present in solution. And when light is focused or allowed to pass through that solution, there will be some decrease in the intensity of incident light with thickness of the solution. It is given by this law. For example, this is a beaker containing solution in which these dots represent the particles of solute. Naturally, pure solvent may also absorb some light, but we will adjust it to 0. Then we will try to know about the absorbed light or light absorbed by this solute or the particles of solute present in the solution. Here this is the incident light and this is the transmitted light, and the light absorbed is not shown here, but we know some of the light will be absorbed. Here in second figure, everything is similar to the above figure, but there are more particles of solute present in this solution or the second solution, giving you an idea that the concentration of first solution is less and concentration of second solution is more, and also the transmitted light is somewhat less, or its intensity is even less than the first case, means more light was absorbed. So the Beer's law is defined as when a beam of monochromatic light is passed through a solution, the decrease in the intensity of light with thickness of the solution is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light as well as the concentration of the solution. I explained to you earlier that monochromatic light is the light containing all waves of same wavelength, or only single wavelength exists there. And this law says that the light absorbed by the solute present in the solution is directly proportional to the intensity of the incident light. This is the incident light, and second, the concentration of solution, and it also depends upon the thickness of the solution. If this much thickness, that is the diameter of beaker, is taken, this is generally called as path length. So whatever it may be, we will take small thickness dx, so the light absorbed or it will be proportional to the intensity of light, incident light, and also on the concentration. This picture also illustrates the similar things. This is solution in a container of path length b, and this is the incident light whose intensity is I0, and this is the transmitted light whose intensity is I, and there is some light absorbed due to presence of solute in the solution, and which depends upon the concentration of the solution as well as on the width or path length of the solution. And third one is on the intensity of incident light. So here we are taking di means infinitesimally small change in intensity of light, and dx means infinitesimally small thickness of the solution dx, which gives you di by dx gives you the rate or change in intensity, and it is proportional to intensity of the light and concentration of the solution. Therefore, minus here represent the change in intensity is decrease. So because it is decreasing, therefore we add minus sign. So minus di by dx proportional to I into C. And this is the expression. If we want an equation, this will be like this: d minus di by dx is equal to epsilon into I into C. As you know, C is concentration of solution, I is intensity of light, and epsilon is called molar absorption coefficient here. And here, if we want to integrate the equation, similar terms should be on one side. Therefore, we are bringing I to left side, so it becomes di by I, which will be equal to minus epsilon into C into dx, where I is intensity, C is concentration of solution in moles per liter, and di is infinitesimally small intensity of light, and dx is equal to infinitesimally small thickness of solution. Epsilon, it is a constant called as molar absorption coefficient. So molar absorption coefficient is represented by epsilon. This is the Greek letter called as epsilon. The value of epsilon, that is molar absorption coefficient, depends upon the nature of absorbing solute or the solute present in the solution through which the light is passed and the wavelength of the light used. Now we will integrate the above equation between the limits of thickness x from 0 to x and limits of intensity I from I0 to I. So di by I is equal to minus epsilon C dx will become integration from I0 to I di by I, and integration 0 to x minus epsilon C dx. These are constant. Therefore, we have taken it outside the integration symbol. Actually, epsilon is the constant, whereas C is concentration. Concentration may not be constant, but when we do an experiment, during the experiment, the concentration of solution will not change. Means once we have prepared a solution, particular concentration solution, then the concentration of solution will not change. Otherwise, for different solutions, concentration will also change. So keeping the concentration of solution constant, we can keep these two outside. So on integration, we get ln I by I0. This is natural logarithm ln, and it is equal to minus epsilon C into x. Means the integration of dx between the limit 0 to x will give you x minus 0, and x minus 0 means 0 will multiplied with epsilon into C will give 0. Therefore, it is minus epsilon C x, and this the formula, it will give you ln I by I0. If we take anti-logarithm, then it will become I by I0 is equal to exponential form. It is e to the power minus epsilon Cx, or I is equal to I0 into e to the power minus epsilon Cx. Let us call this equation as equation 3, which expresses the intensity I0 of a monochromatic light falls to intensity I and passing through a thickness x of the solution. Means whenever solution through a solution of thickness A or x, whatever thickness is represented by any letter, you can represent by L or A by A, B, sometimes it is by x. Then the intensity change or decrease in intensity will be represented by this equation for a particular concentration. The intensity of light absorbed. Now you see here, this is a cuvette, in which cuvette is nothing but a test tube like apparatus with cubical shape. This is the light which is called as incident light. Its intensity is more, so it is the intensity of incident light, and this is the solution or container in which solution is there. Now C is concentration, L is the width or path length or the thickness. Now the light which is transmitted through it has less intensity, means some of the radiations are absorbed or there is decrease in intensity of this incident light. The absorbed radiations plus transmitted radiation will give you the original incident light or intensity of original or incident light. So we have this formula. I absorb means the intensity of light which is absorbed is equal to intensity of incident light minus intensity of transmitted light. Since we know I is equal to this much, therefore I absorb is equal to I0 minus I0 into e to the power epsilon Cx. Here I0 is common, therefore we can take it common. Therefore I absorbed is equal to I0 into 1 minus epsilon to the power minus, e to the power minus epsilon Cx. Now that natural logarithm can be converted into log 10, and if we invert this fraction, negative sign will not be there, that means it will become plus. So log 10 I0 by I will be equal to epsilon into x into C. Here we are taking L, so thickness L. So here epsilon is called molar absorption coefficient, C is called concentration, L is thickness, and I is the intensity of transmitted light, and I0 is intensity of incident light. Sometimes this is called A absorption, and it is given by capital A is equal to epsilon into L into C. But if you take the same equation which we discuss here, then we will have ln I by I0 is equal to minus epsilon Cx, and when we convert this natural logarithm to logarithm base 10, it will be 2.303 log I by I0 is equal to minus epsilon Cx. You send this number to right side, it will give you minus epsilon by 2.303, and this will be another constant, because if epsilon is a constant and this number is again constant, so the whole factor will be a constant, and this constant we are representing by epsilon dash. So log I by I0 will become equal to minus epsilon dash into C into x. As you know, X is the thickness of the solution, C is concentration. Here epsilon dash is called molar extinction coefficient of the solution. Only epsilon is molar absorption coefficient and epsilon dash is molar extinction constant. We are taking antilog on both sides, so it will become I by I0 is equal to 10 to the power minus epsilon dash Cx, or I is equal to I0 into 10 to the power minus epsilon dash Cx. Here, as I told you, epsilon dash is called molar extinction coefficient of the absorbing solution, and molar absorption coefficient epsilon and epsilon dash, that is molar extinction coefficient, are related to each other by this equation, or you can relate them like this. Epsilon dash is equal to epsilon by 2.303. Now significance of epsilon. Log I by I0 is equal to minus epsilon dash Cx, or epsilon dash is equal to 1 by Cx. We are sending this Cx to other side. 1 by Cx into log I by I0. Because we want epsilon dash or molar extinction coefficient, therefore, to get that, we can substitute the value of this as 1 and the value of C as 1. Means if we take solution of concentration 1m or 1 molar concentration and log I by I0 is equal to 1. When this will happen? If I by I0 becomes equal to 10, then it will be equal to 1. So log 10 is equal to 1. Then epsilon dash will become 1 by 1 into x into log 10, or log 10 is equal to 1. So it is 1 into 1, 1, x into 1, x. Therefore, epsilon dash is equal to 1 by x. Here we have used this one, log I by I0 is equal to 1. That means I0 by I is 10. Therefore, I is equal to 1 by 10 of original intensity of original light. Means I, that is the intensity of transmitted light, is 1 by 10th of that intensity of incident light. So I and I0 are related like this. I0 will be 10 times the I, means intensity of incident light will be 10 times the intensity of transmitted light, or I is equal to 1 by 10 into I0. Hence, molar extinction coefficient epsilon dash may be defined as the reciprocal of the thickness of the solution layer of 1m concentration or 1 molar concentration, which reduces the intensity of light passing through it to 1 by 10. It is 10 times less to its original value. Here you can understand that I0, that is intensity of incident light, is 10 times the intensity of transmitted light, or intensity of transmitted light is 1/10 of the intensity of incident light. So in this way, we can define molar extinction coefficient. Now, this figure also gives you an idea that when incident light, or a light of with particular intensity, that is I0, is passed through a solution of a particular solute, then it will absorb certain amount of energy, or in the form of light, and the transmitted light will have lesser intensity than the incident light. Where that energy has gone, that energy, we are assuming that the solution is absorbed. The solute present in the solution absorbs certain amount of energy in the form of light or radiation. Again, log I0 by I can be taken as A, that is called absorbance. It is represented by capital A, which will be equal to epsilon into C into L, where epsilon is molar absorption coefficient, C is molar concentration, and L is path length, or the thickness of the solution. Thickness of solution is also called as path length. Therefore, absorbance A of a particular solution of having particular concentration at particular path length or thickness will be equal to epsilon into concentration into thickness, and epsilon is called a constant called as molar absorption coefficient. Coming to other laws of photochemistry, are laws governing photochemical reactions. All photochemical reactions are governed by two basic laws known as law of photochemistry. These laws are, first one is Grothus-Draper law, and the second one is called Stark-Einstein's law, of which we will first take Grothus-Draper law. This law is also called as principle of photochemical activation, and it was put forward by Grothus in 1818, and then Draper confirmed experimentally this law in 1839. Means Grothus gave theoretical form in 1818, whereas Draper experimentally proved this law in 1839, which states that only radiations of light which are absorbed by the substance are effective in producing a photochemical reaction or photochemical chain. Means the radiations which are absorbed by the material or the substance only can bring a chemical change. So it is necessary for a material or substance to absorb certain radiations, then only a chemical change will occur, and that is called photochemical change. For example, if we have a beaker in which some reactants are taken in the form of solution, then if we want that a chemical change occur inside this, then we have to supply photons or energy in the form of radiations. Then this material or substance will absorb those photons. As a result, there will be some change in their chemical nature, or some chemical reaction or chemical change will take place. And those radiations which are either reflected or scattered are not held responsible for that chemical change. So only radiations which are absorbed can only bring the chemical change. No other radiations, either they are reflected or scattered, can bring any chemical change. So this law says that there cannot be a photochemical reaction or change unless some radiations are absorbed. So to bring a chemical change in a particular material, some photons are to be absorbed by that material. This law is also called first law of photochemistry. It does not mean that absorbed light radiations always bring a photochemical change, because this law says that whenever certain radiations are absorbed or certain photons are absorbed, some photochemical change will occur, or a substance nature will change, or chemical nature will change, and products will form. But it doesn't mean that it this if certain radiations are absorbed, always a chemical change may occur. So the absorbed light radiations may bring following changes. If it absorbed radiations do not bring a photochemical change or photochemical reaction, then it can bring following changes, which are not chemical in nature, means they are physical. For example, some heat, or the substance may get heated, or some other effects like fluorescence, phosphorescence may be observed like that. So first one, the physical change may be like this. The absorbed light radiations may simply converted into heat, means the substance will absorb the light and its heat will increase, or its temperature will increase. So it become hot. For example, if we pass certain radiations or light through a solution of KMnO4, the solution of KMnO4 will remain as it is, means there will be no chemical change occur in KMnO4. But what will happen? It will absorb light radiations strongly. There will be no chemical change, but it will become hot. Some heat it will gain, or its temperature will increase. Second, the absorbed light radiations may be re-emitted as light of different wavelengths or shorter wavelength, causing phenomena like fluorescence or phosphorescence, etc. Again, the radiations which are absorbed will not bring any chemical change, but some other physical phenomenon may occur, like fluorescence or phosphorescence, in which absorbed light is re-emitted by the material or substance which is taken, or through which light or radiations are passed. Third one, sometimes the absorbed light radiations are transferred from one substance to another, both present together, which then undergoes some chemical change. Means one substance will absorb the light, and then it will transfer its energy or heat to some other substance, which will undergo a chemical change, or in that substance the chemical reaction will take place. This process is called photosensitization. If a chemical change occur like this, then it is called photosensitization, and the substance initially absorb light is called photosensitizer. It first absorbs the light and then transfer that absorbed light in the form of energy, energy in the form of light to other substance, and that other substance will undergo chemical change. So the first substance which first absorb the energy and then transfer it to other substance is called photosensitizer. For example, during photosynthesis, we know that chlorophyll absorb the light, then only carbon dioxide and water will produce fructose or glucose. So here in photosynthesis, chlorophyll act as photosensitizer. Now we have another law called as Stark-Einstein's law of photochemical equivalence. Stark-Einstein's law is also called as photochemical equivalence law, and it is also called as principle of quantum activation, or second law. So there are different names for this law. One is Stark-Einstein law, or law of photochemical equivalence, or principle of quantum activation, etc. Our second law of photochemistry. First we discussed, which is nothing but Rother-Draper law. Now second law, it was put forward by Einstein in 1905 and by Stark in 1908, which correlates the extent of photochemical reaction or change with the amount of light radiations absorbed. This law states that in a photochemical reaction, each atom or molecule of a reacting substance absorbs one quantum of radiations. So, whenever a photochemical reaction takes place, the molecules of reactant will absorb radiations which are passing through that medium in which they exist. Maybe it is a solution. Then what they do? They absorb radiations or energy in the form of photons or quanta, and that photon or quanta is represented by Planck's equation, which is given as E is equal to h nu, where E is the energy absorbed in the form of photon and h into nu is called photon, means the energy in that or amount of energy is called quanta or photon, whose energy depends on nu, that is the frequency of radiations which are absorbed by that material. Here h is called Planck's constant, and Planck's constant it has no role to play here, only frequency plays role. Means as frequency increases, the amount of energy absorbed will increase, or the value of energy depends on frequency. If frequency is high, the energy will be greater. If frequency is low, then energy will be low. Now, if you can take this equation, for one molecule, one photon is absorbed, but there will be n number of molecules in 1 mole of reacting substance. For 1 mole of reacting molecules, we will be having this equation in this form. E is equal to NH nu, where capital N is nothing but number of molecules present in 1 mole of it, means it is 1 mole of solute or 1 mole of substance which is absorbing the energy, and we know that in 1 mole we have 1 Avogadro number of particles, maybe atoms or maybe molecules, and Avogadro number is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. So n is Avogadro's number, but you know that nu means frequency is equal to c by lambda, where c is velocity of light and lambda is wavelength. Why? Because c, lambda and nu means velocity, wavelength and frequency are related to each other by an equation which is c is equal to nu lambda, or nu is equal to c by lambda. If we substitute this in place of nu, we will be having a new equation which is E is equal to capital N H C by lambda. Again, N is Avogadro number, E is energy, H is Planck's constant, C is velocity of light. Every in electromagnetic radiation will have velocity equal to velocity of light. Therefore, any radiation you take, either it is UV radiation or visible radiation or any other, they will have same velocity. That means 3 into 10 to the power 10 centimeter per second, or 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. Whatever be the case, the velocity of all radiations EMR will be same. Now, lambda is wavelength of light absorbed. Now, these are the values for different quantities which are present here in this equation. E is energy, N is Avogadro number, H is Planck's constant, C is velocity of light, and lambda wavelength. So now we don't know the energy of radiations having particular wavelength. Then we have the values for N, that is equal to 6.023 into 10 to the power 23, which is nothing but Avogadro number. Velocity of light C, 3 into 10 to the power 10 centimeters per second, or it may be 10 to the power 8 per meters per second. So H, that is Planck's constant, 6.624 into 10 to the power minus 27 arc second. If we substitute the values of all these three, because we don't know which and radiation are used or wavelength of that radiation, then we can have this equation as E is equal to 119.7 by lambda into 10 to the power 6, because the units of energy are per mole here. Now, if energy is expressed in units of calories per mole, this will be energy is equal to 2.84 by lambda. The meaning of this is, if we know the lambda or value of lambda, we can know the energy of radiations. That means if we know the wavelength of radiations absorbed, then we can calculate the energy which is absorbed by the material or substance present in the solution. The above equation is used when wavelength is given in centimeter, but generally wavelength is given in angstrom. Then it will be equal to E is equal to 2.84 by lambda into 10 to the power 5 calories per mole. Why? Because 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 8 centimeters. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter. Therefore, if we substitute that, we will be having energy is equal to 2.84 by lambda into 10 to the power 5 calories per mole. Again, if we substitute the wavelength of radiations used, we can calculate the energy of absorb energy. So in SI units, the energy is given as, here we have to change the values of H and C. H, Planck's constant, when expressed in joules second, it will be 6.624 into 10 to the power minus 34, and velocity of light in meters will be 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. In meters, it is 10 to the power 8. Now, if you substitute these values, the value of energy we can calculate by this equation. E is equal to 119.7 by lambda into 10 to the power 5 kilojoules per mole, is about 120 by lambda. Again, if you substitute the wavelength of radiations absorbed, then we can calculate the energy absorbed in this way. Now, equations 1 and 2, that means the last two equations, gives the energy absorbed by 1 mole of the reacting molecules. Means this is the energy which is absorbed by 1 mole of molecules of solute. That is energy possessed by 1 mole of photons. Indirectly, this is the energy possessed by 1 mole of photons. And this energy is called 1 Einstein. So the energy possessed by 1 mole of photon is generally called as 1 Einstein, which is inversely proportional to the wavelength. Here, energy and wavelength are inversely proportional because this is a constant. Number is nothing but constant. So we can say energy is inversely proportional to wavelength. Always you can remember that energy is directly proportional to frequency of radiation, and energy is inversely proportional to the wavelength of the radiations. So here energy is inversely proportional to wavelength. So the order of energy of different radiations is like this. order of energy is X-ray will have more energy than ultraviolet rays, than visible rays, than IR. So out of these four, X-rays are having highest energy, whereas IR means infrared radiations will have or possess least energy among these four. Whereas the wavelength is in this order. Wavelength of X-rays is less than wavelength of ultraviolet rays, which is less than visible and which is less than infrared radiation. So here the wavelength of X-rays is the shortest one and IR will have longest wavelength. So these are the orders of wavelength and energy. The units of energy used in photochemistry are electron volt, EV, electron volt, and 1 electron volt is equal to 23.06 calories per mole, or 1 electron volt is equal to 96.48 kilojoules per mole. So today we discussed different topics under photochemistry, which are: first we discussed Beer's law, which is also called as Beer-Lambert's law because it is the extension of Lambert's law given by Beer, therefore Beer-Lambert's law, which says that the absorbance or absorbed radiations will be equal to three product of three things. One is constant called as molar absorption constant, and then the thickness and concentration of the solution. It is the product of three things: concentration, thickness, and the constant called as molar absorption coefficient. Or decrease in intensity. You can say decrease in intensity is due to absorption of radiations by the material or medium or substance or solution through which it is passed, means the radiations are passed, and radiations may be in the form of light or UV rays, means in the form of photons. Therefore energy or light is absorbed by the medium or material in the form of photons, and these photons are generally absorbed by the molecules. Okay. Now, second one is Grothus-Draper law, which says that only the absorbed energy can bring the chemical change. Again, we have Stark-Einstein law, in which we can calculate the energy absorbed or energy absorbed by the molecules. How many molecules? 1 mole of molecules, or if every molecule absorbs one photon, then the energy of 1 mole of photons, which can be calculated by E is equal to 119.7 by lambda, so that we get the value of energy absorbed when certain radiations of wavelength lambda are absorbed by the material. And the last thing is order of wavelength. If we have different regions of energy or EMR, then X-rays will have least wavelength or lowest wavelength or shortest wavelength, and IR will have longest wavelength. And reverse is the order of energy. X-rays will have highest energy and infrared radiations will have lowest energy. And in photochemistry, energy is expressed in units of electron volt. So with this, we will end the topic, and we will meet again in next class, in which we will discuss about quantum yield and Jablonski diagram, etc. So be with us and try to learn some more topics in next class. So thank you for watching. Thank you one and all. Thank you.